from the betting capital of the world. Giving raw and real breakdowns of mixed martial arts and recapping UFC events like no one else with producer Martin on the ones and twos and combat sports betting expert Effie. You're listening to Any Action Sportscast. Any Action Sportscast. So put your headphones on and let's take this podcast to the next level.
This isn't a podcast. It's a sportscast.
What is up, guys? We are back. It's your boy Effie with Any Action Sportscast, here to go over UFC Vegas 83, Song Yadong versus Chris Gutierrez. Should be a pretty good main event in the 145 division. I think Song Yadong's going to do some pretty bad things to Chris Gutierrez, but we'll talk about that in a second. We do have a couple show announcements we have to get to. Announcement number 1. We are officially an anti-Buffalo Bills podcast. We're betting against the Buffalo Bills from here on out. Announcement number 2, we are anti-terrorism at Any Action Sportscast. We are anti-Al-Qaeda at Any Action Sportscast, and we are anti-Taliban at Any Action Sportscast. Announcement number 3, we are officially rooting for the Texas Longhorns to win the college football playoff. And if not, then we want the Alabama Crimson Tide.
I don't give a piss about nothing but the Tide, baby. I don't give a piss about nothing but the Tide. Blitz, Bama, blitz, baby. Blitz, Bama, blitz. I love America and I love the Tide, baby.
To win the college football playoff, as we have a future on them at plus 600. So yeah, with that out of the way, let's get right into the fights. Before we can get into the fights, let's recap how we did at UFC Austin last weekend, as our bets went 1-2 and we lost 1.70 units on the card, which comes out for us to losing $68. It was a loss, man. And let's go through it, man. Right away, our first bet of the night was Jakar Close at minus 125. We put 1.25 units on him to win 1, and we hit that. You know, he got that slam, that vicious slam in that first round, got the finish. It was a pretty crazy finish, man. Jousset was going for that arm bar, and Jakar Close just slams him on his temple, and it was brutal. A couple slams, actually, on that card. That card was sick, man. UFC Austin was definitely super exciting. A lot of good finishes. Yeah, man, we were on the right side of that one, so we posited 1.00 units on that profit. Then that's where our night went south. After that, we had Kelvin Gastelum against Sean Brady at plus 100 even money. We put 1.25 units on that, and he got destroyed. He got beat up and down the canvas, man. Sean Brady was on him the whole fight, and he just got mauled, man. I'll be honest. Sean Brady is the truth. I should not have faded Sean Brady right there. Kelvin Gastelum got absolutely dominated, and then, props to Sean Brady, man. He should have been minus 5,000. And after that, we had Rob Font against Deiveson Figueiredo. We took Rob Font at minus 145, 1.45 units on that. And that's probably my most regrettable one. I mean, I know Kelvin got absolutely destroyed, but so did Rob Font, man. Both our losses just got absolutely worked over big time. And, you know, Rob Font had no chance. Deiveson Figueiredo was beating him on the feet and, you know, with the grappling. Rob Font was just going forward the whole time, and Deiveson was just countering him and picking him apart. So, congrats to Deiveson Figueiredo. The 35-year-old looks good in the new weight division. So, sucks we had a losing night last week, but we're already trying to bounce back this week at UFC Vegas 83. We'll start with the main event, dude. The main event, we have Song Yadong taking on Chris Gutierrez. Song Yadong, 27-1, comes in as a minus 370 favorite. He is 26 years old. Fighting Chris Gutierrez, who comes in with a 24-2 record. He is plus 290, 32 years old. So, pretty easy fight to break down. Chris Gutierrez is going to be slamming those leg kicks of his. He honestly probably has some of the most vicious and most damaging calf kicks in the entire UFC. He can really brutalize and immobilize his opponents with those leg kicks. But it's not like Song Yadong doesn't know that. Everyone that fights Chris Gutierrez knows that. And I just think that this is a huge step up in competition for Chris Gutierrez. I think Song Yadong is going to have him covered everywhere. And we should find out pretty soon, right away when the fight starts, how Chris Gutierrez's leg kicks are going to do. Is Song Yadong going to be susceptible to those early and then start to check them as the fight goes on? Probably. And I actually expect Song Yadong to utilize a big-time grappling game plan in this fight and really, win minutes that way. I wouldn't be shocked to see Song Yadong actually get a submission in this fight. I am going to go with Song Yadong inside the distance. I'm not going to go and be greedy and pick him to get submission. Every time I pick a method of victory, I always get it wrong. But I have a feeling that Song Yadong's going to be on him shooting those takedowns. He comes from a very good team Alpha Male with Faber in them. So Song Yadong to me is just a blue chip prospect, man. 26 years old. We saw him in there with Corey Sandhagen, and he gave him a good fight. So I think on the feet, man, Song Yadong's a pretty 50-50 fighter. Those leg kicks are obviously super significant, but the hands definitely go to Song Yadong. The boxing combinations go to Song Yadong. And I just think that he's a better overall fighter, man. I love how Song Yadong rips the body. He can go high, he can go low, he can go to the body. He's just an overall really good fighter, man. So I'm super high on Song Yadong at minus 370, man. That is a parlay piece for sure. I want to see who I'm going to parlay him with. But yeah, man, I wouldn't even mind a 3.7 unit shot on him to win one. That's how confident I am in the fight. But I am going to try to get a better number on him inside the distance. But I think that he finishes Chris Gutierrez before that 4th round. I'm going to go with a 3rd round submission for Song Yadong. Main event. We have a light heavyweight fight with one fighter coming in on short notice. We have Anthony Smith taking this fight on short notice, and he's fighting Khalil Rountree. Anthony Smith comes in with a 37-18 record, currently plus 200, and he is 35 years old. He's fighting Khalil Rountree, who comes in with a 12-5 record. He is currently minus 240 on the money line, and he is 33 years old. So he's actually not minus 240 right now. I know it says 240 on the screen, but money's been coming in on Anthony Smith, pushing Khalil Rountree all the way down to minus 200. So super interesting fight. Anthony Smith, the one on short notice. And I'm not going to say much about this fight. I think Khalil Rountree wins this fight. Anthony Smith is a very live underdog in this fight. I know he's on short notice. I know he's 35 years old. I know he has a lot of wear and tear on his body, fighting so much. He has a ton of experience. I mean, this guy has more losses than Khalil Rountree has pro fights. So he's been fighting forever. And the thing with this is I'll just play this clip right now.
A UFC fighter during the UFC Fight Pass weekend, and he's like, he took some real bad kicks to the shin, and he has a spot on his shin where it's just soft. It's completely healed. It goes in. So
Anthony Smith.
Yeah.
And so that's never good when you hear stuff like that on podcasts. Definitely worrisome here for Anthony Smith. But the reason I say that he's a live underdog is because of that wrestling, man. Khalil Rountree straight up cannot wrestle. Off his back, he's gonna look terrible, and there's absolutely no shot that Anthony Smith doesn't know this. There's no shot he's gonna just fight Khalil Rountree for a 15-minute Muay Thai fight and give him a kickboxing fight. There's no way. He's not that dumb. I don't believe so. I believe he has the IQ to try to utilize that grappling. But I just worry that his gas tank's not gonna be that good. And even if he does get him down in that 1st and 2nd round, of what's he gonna look like in that 3rd round? Khalil Rountree himself does have bad cardio and low output as the fight goes on. So at minus 240, it took all the way down to minus 200. I'm not surprised by that line movement at all. Yeah, and so Anthony Smith is a super live underdog, but ultimately I am going to go with Khalil Rountree, man. I just don't like how Anthony Smith all this damage on him, and I think he knocks him out. So, and it's tough, though. I wouldn't be paying minus 200 on Khalil Rountree. So, yeah, up next, another short notice fight in the bantamweight division. We have Sumudaerji taking on Tim Elliott. Tim Elliott being the fighter in this case, taking it on short notice. You have Sumudaerji coming in with a 16-5 record. He is plus 135 on the money line, and he is 27 years old. He is fighting Tim Elliott, who comes in with a 19-13-1 record. He is currently minus 160, and he is 36 years old. Now I'm going with the underdog here. I wouldn't be shocked to see this line get closer to a pick'em before the fight actually starts. I'm going with Sumudaerji in this fight. It's no question, no mystery here of what Tim Elliott's going to try to do. Tim Elliott's definitely going to try and put Sumudaerji on his butt, on his back, and try to wrestle him in this fight. The grappling from Tim Elliott is definitely better than the grappling from Sumudaerji. But if Sumudaerji can just survive that 1st round, sprawl and brawl in that 2nd round, and start to piece apart Tim Elliott on the feet, I think that he can win a decision or even finish Tim Elliott late. I like the striking way more from Sumudaerji in this fight, but the grappling advantage from Tim Elliott is definitely worrisome. I'm actually kind of shocked that he opened up as a favorite on short notice against Sumudaerji. So, yeah, man, give me Sumudaerji to keep this fight upright and to actually finish Tim Elliott in that 3rd round. Up next, we have a banger of a fight. Super good fight in the lightweight division. We have Nasrat Haqparast versus Jamie Mullarkey. Nasrat Haqparast comes in with a 15-5 record. He is currently minus 220. He is 28 years old. He is fighting Jamie Mullarkey, who comes in with 17-6, currently plus 180 on the money line, and he is 29 years old. So this is an interesting fight because at minus 200, minus 220, there's no way I can bet on Nasrat, but I do think that he's going to win this fight. And I actually think that he has the finishing upside in this fight. If someone gets finished in this fight, I think it's going to be Jamie Mullarkey. Nasrat Haqparast is a very good striker with heavy hands, man. This guy sits on his punches and throws power shots for sure. Not the greatest output, not the greatest wrestling either, but you won't have to worry about that from Jamie Mullarkey. Jamie Mullarkey is more of a kickboxer. He's not going to look like a grappler out there against Nasrat Haqparast, even though Nasrat Haqparast made Dan Hooker look like Jordan Burroughs when they fought. was kind of crazy to see how easily he was getting taken down by someone like Dan Hooker. So, Jamie Mullarkey, he's been dropped in 3 out of his last 5 fights, and I do worry about his striking defense. He's a good fighter, though, in his own right. He's not a bad fighter by any means. It's just that he's very hittable, and that striking defense worries me against someone as powerful as Nasrat. Dude, Nasrat doesn't throw a ton of volume, and he doesn't really pull away in any rounds. It's kind of tough getting behind him at minus 200, minus 220, man. Dang, a lot of juice, in my opinion, for someone like Nasrat. In what should be a pretty close fight, but I actually do think that he's going to find that chin of Jamie Mullarkey and finish Jamie Mullarkey in that second round. Up next, we have a middleweight fight between Andre Muniz and Jung Park. Andre Muniz comes in with a 23-6 record. He is currently plus 180, and he is 33 years old. He is fighting the Iron Turtle, Jung Park, who comes in with a 17-5 record, currently minus 220 on the money line, and he is 32 years old. And Jung Park is on fire, man. He's coming off 3 straight rear naked chokes, and I really doubt he's gonna submit and finish Andre Muniz via rear naked choke for his 4th straight one. But it's a super interesting fight. I like Jung Park in this fight. I'm going with the favorite in this fight, but it's always tough, betting against or going against someone like Andre Muniz. I know he's on a 2-fight losing streak against Brendan Allen and Paul Craig, but those are very high-level fighters, and Andre Muniz has very good grappling off his back. He has no wrestling, no offensive takedowns or grappling of that sort, but once he gets on the ground, he is very liable to sweep you, to reverse you, and to utilize his offensive jiu-jitsu. This is a very, very dangerous Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belt. Jung Park's just, to me, the overall more well-rounded MMA fighter. He's better striking, better wrestling, and not as good jiu-jitsu, but in my opinion, it won't matter. I think that he'll be able to have safe top control in this fight if it does get in that realm and avoid getting armbarred. I really do think that Andre Muniz is stubborn bust in this fight. I don't see him winning a decision. He's going to have to submit Jung Park, so I think that Jung Park is going to play it safe. It was funny, I was actually watching his fight against Shavkat Rakhmonov way back in the day, and kind of a foreshadowing to next week, dude, Shavkat might have a jumping gilly problem. This guy is jumping gilly all the time, and he always submits Jung Park a few times in that fight before he eventually does. But Jung Park does have a good submission defense, man. I know that's an old fight, kind of worthless now, how far he is into his career. But man, I've seen Jung Park defend some pretty deep submissions before in his career, so I just think that Andre Muniz is sub or bust. He's pretty one-dimensional in this fight for me, so give me Jung Park to win and actually win a decision against Andre Muniz. Up next, we have a fight in the welterweight division between Kenan Song and Kevin Jousset. Kenan Song comes in with a 21-7 record. He is currently plus 145 on the money line, and he is 33 years old. He's fighting Kevin Jousset, who comes in with a 9-2 record, currently minus 170 on the money line, and he is 30 years old. I'm going with an underdog in this fight. I'm going with Kenan Song in this fight, and it's because, bro, I'm not impressed with Kevin Jousset. Yes, he's a good striker, a good kickboxer. He's from the same gym as Israel Adesanya, them City Kickboxing, but he strikes me as someone that's getting favors from the UFC and otherwise wouldn't be in the UFC if it wasn't for his friends at that gym. And no offense, I'm sure he's a high-level fighter. I'm sure he could, kill us all in the chat, but I think Kenan Song's going to catch him here in this fight, man. Kenan Song's a decent enough striker in his own right. I don't foresee him trying to utilize the grappling here against someone like Kevin Jousset. Kevin Jousset is going to be a pretty big size advantage in this fight. He's going to have a 4-inch reach advantage and a 2-inch height advantage over Kenan Song. So I do worry that Kenan Song's going to be thrown around in the clinch and reverse along the cage in this fight, in the clinch. But man, I think Kenan Song's going to catch that chin from Kevin Jousset, man. I'm just not impressed with Kevin Jousset. He seems slow. He seems flat-footed, and his level of competition outside the UFC is not impressive. So give me Kenan Song. Give me the underdog in Kenan Song to win this fight, and I wouldn't be shocked to see that line close as the week goes on. Up next, we have a flyweight fight between Hung Sung Park and Shannon Ross. Peace of Mind Sung Park comes in undefeated, 8-0, minus 220 on the money line, and he is 28 years old. He is fighting Shannon Ross, who comes in with a 13-8 record, currently plus 180 on the money line. He is 34 years old. Now, this is a crazy matchup because Shannon Ross, to me, is the better fighter in this matchup. I know that sounds crazy to say. I know you probably just, mouth just dropped, your jaw dropped hearing that. But I do think that Shannon Ross is better than Hung Sung Park here. It's just that Shannon Ross has, without a doubt, the worst chin in the UFC, pound for pound, least durable chin in the UFC. I mean, he was banished from all of our bankrolls after his last fight against Jesus Aguilar, where he got finished by the very first exchange that Jesus threw. He got finished by a guy that had never knocked out anybody in his pro career, and that's 3 straight times he's been finished inside the UFC. I mean, this dude is getting clocked all over the place. I'm kind of shocked that he's even in the UFC. But that's the thing with this fight. Shan Park isn't some sort of a dynamic boxer or kickboxer or some sort of Muay Thai fighter. He likes to go for submissions when he gets guys down. He likes to go for the back takes and work from there. So really good body triangles and really good grappling from Sung Park when it does enter that realm. So to me, it comes down to if Sung Park has the physical capability of throwing a punch, he should knock out Shannon Ross. If Sung Park has the ability to let his hands go, he's gonna knock out Shannon Ross. Dude, Shannon Ross has no chin, but hey, we might be sitting here on Saturday night getting shocked by the world when Shannon Ross finally wins his very first UFC fight. That would be crazy because, man, his skill set is good enough to keep it on the feet and avoid the takedowns from Sung Park and then work from there and just not get knocked out every time he gets touched. Because Sung Park to me hasn't shown that good of striking from what I've seen with limited tape. But yeah, give me Sung Park because there's absolutely no shot I can trust Shannon Ross's chin at this. Now, up next, we have a fight that was supposed to happen last week, got rescheduled, and that's really all there is to this fight. This time, they're fighting in the lightweight division at 155. It was at 145 last week. We have Steve Mean Machine Garcia taking on Melk Costa. Garcia comes in with a 14-5 record. He is currently plus 110 on the money line. He is 31 years old. He's fighting Melk Costa, who comes in with a 20-6 record. He is minus 260 on the money line, and he is 27 years old. So the pick's not going to change here. I am going with Costa in this fight. But man, it's kind of outside the cage narrative going on in this fight. So it was supposed to be happening last week, and on weight cut day on Friday, Steve Garcia pulls out of the fight during the weight cut, right? So he got pulled out with an illness. So they rescheduled it for just the next week, right? So supposedly he's having a bad weight cut and he's sick enough to call and cancel the fight on Friday, but he's healthy enough to fight and do another weight cut a week later. I know that doesn't have to cut as much weight now, but that's still a little wearisome to me. That's kind of weird. And it is going to help Steve Garcia, in my opinion, in this fight. Melk Costa was already trying to cut weight. He's already dehydrating himself when the call came in that Steve Garcia wasn't going to make it. And Steve Garcia is going to be significantly bigger in this fight. He's a 6 foot 145er with a 73-inch reach. And now he doesn't have to cut weight to 145. Is that Steve Garcia, to me, like I said in the breakdown last week, his striking defense is what's going to cost him this fight. He's getting clipped and dropped by guys that shouldn't be clipping and dropping him, man. Steve Garcia has probably the most suspect chin any Mexican I've ever seen in my life. And I worry about that against Melk Costa. Melk Costa, to me, isn't some sort of power striker either. He's a sort of a knockout artist, KO, one-punch guy. He's more of a volume guy, and he just outpoints you. Very good dynamic kicking. He likes to go to the body, likes to go to the head. He can mix it up at all times. Really good body work from Melk Costa, and he can switch stances, and a very good dynamic and efficient striker when he does. So I think that the lack of weight cutting to 145 actually might help Steve Garcia here be more durable and withstand some more damage than he normally does. Ultimately, I do think that Melk Costa is going to win this fight. Kind of a crazy scenario, man. You're cutting weight, you get sick, you're in Austin, Texas, and now you got to fly to Vegas and do it again. So I know he doesn't have to cut as much weight, but still, that can't be good for you. So, up next, I'm going with Melk Costa to win that fight. I'm actually going to go with the decision. I'm going to go with decision, Melk Costa. Wouldn't get shocked though if he finishes Steve Garcia at all. Steve Garcia gets dropped by people that kiss him goodnight. So up next, we have a bantamweight fight between Stephanie Egger and Luana Santos. Stephanie Egger comes in with an 8-4 record. Comes in at plus 165 on the money line. She is 35 years old. Luana Santos comes in with a 6-1 record. She is minus 200 on the money line. He comes in at 23 years old. Now this is tough because I can't bet this fight. There's no way I can bet this fight. I'm going with the underdog. I know that's a lot of underdogs, but I'm going with Stephanie Egger in this fight. She's going to be the bigger fighter in this fight. It comes down to two judo players here. They're both black belts in judoka, both black belt judokas, I should say. Very good hip tosses, very good uchimanas from both these fighters. I think that Stephanie Egger is going to be able to utilize her size and reach and hurt Luana Santos more than she lands on Stephanie Egger. Luana Santos, I know she beat Juliana Miller. We actually bet against her, or on her in that fight, I should say. She won for us. But man, Juliana Miller is really, really bad. And even then, Luana Santos' striking, to me, doesn't look very good. It's all right jiu-jitsu and good finishing ability on the mat, but Stephanie Egger, to me, is going to stay safe, win a decision. Super boring fight, smoke break type fight. Give me Stephanie Egger, the underdog, to win the decision. Up next, there is no shot this is the second fight on the card. If it is, that's absolutely crazy. We have a prelim fight between Tatsuro Taira and Carlos Hernandez. Tatsuro, the blue chip prospect, undefeated, 14-0, comes in as a huge minus 440 favorite. He is 23 years old. He's fighting Carlos Hernandez, who comes in with a 9-2 record, currently plus 340 on the money line, and he is 30 years old. It's a pretty open and shut case. Going to be a quick performance here. Tatsuro Taira is going to look to wrestle, man. This guy is a very good grappler, very good wrestling, good top control. But his striking defense worries me, man. We saw him get hurt in his last fight against Gutierrez, where there's been times where Tatsuro Taira has been gotten close to getting finished on the feet and on the mat, and he's always like minus 500. This dude's average line in the UFC has to be around minus 500. He's always a huge, huge favorite because the bookmakers know this dude's grappling is top tier. Carlos Hernandez, to me, has to approach this like the floor is lava, man. He knows what Tatsuro Taira is going to try to do, but I just think that Carlos Hernandez isn't going to be able to keep him off him. And even if Carlos Hernandez is having success on the feet, I still think a rocked, dazed Tatsuro Taira will be able to shoot and get in on Carlos Shannon and eventually get him down and work from there. Give me Tatsuro Taira to actually get a submission victory in this fight. I'm going to go in the very first round. In our last fight, our very first fight of the night, we have a women's strawweight fight between Rayanne dos Santos and Talita Alencar. Dos Santos comes in with a 14-6 record. She is currently minus 140 on the money line, and she is 28 years old. She's fighting Talita Alencar, who comes in 4-0-1. She is currently plus 115, and she is 33 years old. And I'm going with Dos Santos in this fight, the favorite, just purely off the fact that I think that her striking is better than Talita Alencar. Alencar, to me, is not very good. Both these fighters are not very good. No offense. I'm not going to waste any more time talking about this fight. Give me Dos Santos to win this fight. If you bet on this fight, you need to call 1-800-GAMBLER ASAP. That'll do, guys. That's our show for this week, man. Super short video, super short card. So far we have no bets, but I am looking at Song Yadong inside the distance. I'm looking at Khalil Rountree, and I'm looking at Kenan Song and Dunyang Park. So good luck this week, guys. Only 2 more cards on the entire year, and next week's going to be a banger of a week, guys. We have UFC, I forget what number it is, but Leon Edwards and Colby Covington gonna fight each other. That card's gonna be stacked. I'll be at the press conference. I'll be at the weigh-ins. If you're gonna go, let me know. Hit me up in the comments. But let me know what you think about my picks. And yeah, guys, good luck this week, and I'll see you guys next week. Go Texas.